Okay, welcome to your brand new Clesta E3 chair. So this is the Belmont workhorse chair. So let's just bring the doctor's livery over here. We'll have a look at, first of all, how to turn the chair on and off. Now, it's just this little switch under here. So it's a flick off, flick on. So that's our on-off switch. That's the main one that we need to do. Now that will turn everything on the chair. It will turn on the power. It'll turn this power on here. It'll activate all the water and air lines. This power switch here, it's separate. If you turn that off, everything up here will work, but the chair won't go up and down. So you can leave that on all the time. When you isolate the power up here, it will also isolate the power there. So just use the master switch on here as your main on-off for your chair. That will then light everything up. So while we're having a look under there, let's look under the console here. Now we've got yellow and blue. Yellow means air, blue means water. So yellow and blue, air and water, triplex syringe. Blue, 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 blue lines up with blue, 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 blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 water. Water and air here for the hanger on the end. So all fairly simple. While we're underneath here, this is what they used to call an oil catcher. You don't really get oil in handpieces anymore. If there was any in there, it'd get sucked out in the autoclave. So it's mainly probably going to collect water these days. So if you see any water welling in here, probably means you've got an O-ring that's gone dodgy on one of your handpieces or on one of your couplings. It's letting water leak back into your exhaust air. So that's probably a sign of that. So there are main controls under there. Now we've got an air brake here. We push, move, and then when we release, it activates the air brake in the arm. So if we've got something heavy on top there, we'll lock it into place. We've got a multi-pad on board here, which we'll go through later on. Scaler controls. Let's go to the main panel here with our presets. Okay, we've got a bowl rinse there, cup fill there. When we fill the cup, it also does a rinse of the bowl. We've got our manual chair movements. So chair up, chair down, backrest up, backrest down. So they're our main controls. Then we've got our presets here. So preset 1, now they're user settable. We lock that chair back into position. If we want to lock in a new preset, so that's our preset 1 at the moment. It looks a bit high, so let's move that down a little bit. We want that to be our preset 1. We hold down number 1 button. Now, you should have heard that beep. That's the beep to say that our presets are locked in. 0 position, which is usually lowest position, chair up in the upright position. You can change that if you want. And then we've got our LP position. Now, LP is called last position. Now, all these controls are replicated down here as well. We've got our big disc there, and we've got our preset buttons here. So we've got those presets on there. Now, I can use my foot on those to control. Let's say I move the chair right back in this position way back here. We have the back right down. We've taken a long time to get the patient in that position. We want to sit them up for a rinse. We hit LP, brings just the backrest up, and we can also program where that final resting point of the backrest is. The main feature of this LP is last position. So when we hit the LP or last position again, take the chair back into the last position it was. So no matter how fine-tuned that is, it's going to take you right back to where you started. So that's an awesome little feature there. So that's going to drop back. Let's just go onto the entry-exit again, onto our 0. And then our armrest here folds out of the way there. Nice, solid, sturdy armrest there for patient entry exit. So we're moving our way around. Now we've obviously got our go pedal over here. We've got our flick switch there for our air and water. This one here, the little yellow button, that's a chip air. So if we pick up one of the handpiece hangers and hit this button, it's going to blow a little bit of air through the handpiece line, just through the mist air. So if you need a little bit of air and you don't want to pick up a triplex syringe, just hit the yellow button there. So we're down here we've got air and water control here for our triplex syringe, again yellow and blue. We've got a heater button there, so we can heat the water going up through our cup fill. High and low volume suction there. This is our triplex syringe coming up. We've got our filter now that's still brand new, so I can touch this without gloves. Obviously, you will need to be gloved up for that, for cleaning your filters daily on there. Make sure it's up and down at 12 o'clock. If you try really hard, you can get it in at a weird angle. If you do that, it's it's going to block off one of the ports and not function. We've got our air and we've got our water and cup fill and bowl rinse here. These are really basic operation. They work on like a little air timer. As soon as you let go of the button, then it starts timing the release of the water. So the longer you hold the button down, the longer it runs. When you release, it starts timing down. It's a basic air sort of timer. So just be aware that that starts when you release. Over here, we've got our high-speed suction, we've got our low-speed suction, and we've got our triplex syringe. Now, there is a bit of maintenance you need to be aware about with these. There is a little, there's a little barrel in here. You can just push that barrel out and back in again. And there's some O-rings in there. I recommend taking them in at least once a week and just lubricating them with a little bit of silicone O-ring lubricant, just to keep that mechanism nice and free. These also pull apart and you can disassemble and lubricate as well. Same with the high speed there. We've got our preset chair positions on here. Nice little tray there. Cup fill bowl rinse, as I mentioned. We've got a double articulating headrest here. So this double articulating headrest, all we do is we just squeeze these little buttons in here and we move that. It's just to pull up and down. We can push that in, take it on itself here for kids. If we've got enough room, we can just reverse it on itself if we've got a wheelchair coming in. And it's more cradling the neck, so it's not so much a headrest as a neck support. And we've got all that movement. We can take it all the way out and reverse it around if we want. So really, really nice functional headrest. One of the most popular features of the Belmont chairs is that double articulating headrest. And also in some of the higher range chairs, we've got the electric option as well, which is very popular. The other thing people love, apart from our little puppies there, is the oversized delivery table there. So nice big delivery table. If you do like a smaller one, it can also come in a compact. So we're moving our way around. That covers most of the features. We do have our water bottle here. So we've got the water bottle depressurize, pressurize. Obviously, to use the water bottle needs to pressurize. We can on this one actually go between city and bottle. So we can flick to mains water or bottle supply. And to remove the bottle, we just de-energize the water and take it off. Now I'm going to show you inside this little cuspidor here, which is just a simple matter of removing that little knurled screw on there. Now this particular chair has a dry suction separator. So we've installed the Durr Dry suction separator in this case. That's this one here. You don't really need to worry about it, but it's worth knowing that it's here on an annual service. We come in and we pull apart all these valves and clean them out and check that everything's running nice and freely. So I do recommend that annual maintenance. It's a really, really simple list of checks that we do, but that's all we need to do to keep this thing running 100% reliable. Now, worth noting, this has also got the umbilical here, which is removed from the chair. That gives us that flexibility to remote mount the chair in relation to the umbilical. So we've got a maximum flexibility in getting the location of the chair there. Okay, so let's have a look at our light here. So we've got our sensor light. So it's a wave on and off there. Now under here we've got our sensor. That's the one that does all the action. We've also got composite mode. So if we hold our hand under here, we go into a dimmed composite mode, and then we can go on and off and we're back up to full brilliance, or whatever we've set on our little dimmer here. So that's our composite mode function. On the back of the light here, we've also got a main on and off switch. We've also got manual or sensor. On manual, it's just on full brightness, full time, all the time. So just be aware of that. If you've ever got an issue where your light won't turn on, always check that someone hasn't moved that switch into a weird position, or might be some of the chairs have an off position as well. So it could be moved into that or stuck in sort of a halfway spot. So look, that's a basic rundown on the chairs. I'm going to go into some of the more advanced features on the next video on the controls here for the motor and the scaler. In this case, we've got it just set up with a simple perio scaling and endo, P, S or E, and a 1 to 10 on the scaler, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Another one that I should mention is under here you've got, this is an on-off, that little mini switch there, turns the optics on and off on your high speed. So if your optics aren't working, just make sure that hasn't been flicked off. So next video is going to be a little rundown on the functions of the multipad there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all the features and functions of the NLX Nano electric motor here. So this is an NLX Nano, not the Plus. So it doesn't have the endo function. I think in most cases actually, I think taking the endo function out just keeps it as a good basic electric motor with maximum torque and functions without complicating it too much with all that endo functionality. Now, obviously we pick up the motor, we have a look on the screen here. We've got different settings here. Now to move between settings, we just hit the select. Every time we hit select, you'll see the flashing cursor change. That means that we can then change any of those options that are flashing. Nothing's flashing, we're just in general go mode. Now obviously we can move our speed up there. In this case we're in a 1 to 2 speed increasing, so that gives us a maximum speed of 80,000, minimum of 2,000. Now let's go in there and we go select. So select. Let's change that to a 1 to 1 speed. We'll keep it as program 2. 1 to 1. Now our minimum speed is 1,000. Maximum speed is going to be 40,000. That's the speed range of this motor, 1,000 to 40,000 RPM. Everything else is just a multiplier. So if I change that to a 1 to 5 speed increasing handpiece, the speed of the burr will go up to 200,000 RPM, and you can see the ratios change every time. It's giving us that reading on the screen, that's the speed of the burr. 40,000 times 5, 200,000 RPM. So if you want to leave it in 1 to 1 mode, do the maths in your head, you can do that as well. It's up to you. If we want to store that in as our new program 2, we just hold down the NSA button and we wait for a beep. That's now stored in at program 2. Now if we want to do the same on program 3, all the way up to program 8, we just go to all of our different settings there. Let's say we want to use this one. Now this one is actually set up for some endo functions there, which we're not going to need in this case. So we go through our select button. We hold down our mode button in this case just to clear that endo functionality. Let's say we're going to do this for Profi work, and let's say we decide that we love doing Profi at about 3,000 RPM. We set that up 3,000 RPM. We're going to use a 1 to 1 handpiece. We lock that in. Saved. Let's go to preset 2 that we set up before. We're at 1 to 5, 200,000 RPM. So that's what we use a red band on that for our cram preps. We've got forward and reverse on here. Little R or an F up there. Pretty straightforward. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's all of our functionality on there. There are some back-end features. That's all you're really going to need to get to work. Okay, now I'm going to go through one of the most important functions on the chair. Now let's say, for instance, we've got a puppy wanders into the surgery and we don't see it come in and we try and lower the chair. Now let's hope we're not going to crush the puppy. Look at that. So straight down there, now that's a plush toy puppy and it's not compressed at all. Comes down, activates this switch, will allow the chair to go up when that switch is activated, but it won't allow it to go down. It will only, you hit down, it's going to go up, it's going to do the reverse. We're saving the puppy. So that's a feature just to be aware of. We've got that plate. If the chair won't go down but goes up, could be something jammed under there. So nice little feature to be aware about.